It's episode 133 of Seddy Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge. This week, we are going to visit a state that George wanted to visit, Maryland. Maryland. It's called Maryland, and he wanted to watch Curse of the Cannibal Confederates.
Maryland.
Or The Curse of the Screaming Dead. It had two titles.
Oh, you caught that too. Okay.
I thought I'd start a little new thing. There's a review by Jigga Joe Freezy.
That sounds like a racist term.
Jigga Joe Freezy?
Yeah. Oh.
Should I not
sounds
say
like
that?
Sounds like it's against the Inuits or something.
It could be.
It could be.
On letterboxd, he says personally his favorite part was the exploding car.
I thought this was a review for us at Seddy Bimco.
No.
Hey, listeners, why don't you review us?
There might be some at the end of this one.
There might be. Who knows?
But George, before we get to everything, I have an age-old question about revenge. You love
these. Can't wait. These are always so funny, and they definitely don't make people turn off our podcast in droves.
Did the cult member ever get revenge on the cult leader who promised that in his cult there would be all the strawberry kiwi Kool-Aid he could drink, but it turned out they only had tropical punch cyanide?
It's Seddy Bimco Part 2, The Revenge. The show where we create revenge sequels that nobody wanted.
Seddy Bimco. Part 2, The Revenge. And I'm Tim Hamilton. And this is George O'Connor.
I'm George O'Connor, New York Times bestselling author of Olympians and Asgardians. Buy my new book, Thor. I'm currently I'm pretty much on tour as we record. Although not this moment.
Oh, yeah. I'm filling out forms for my new book where they got to ask you all about yourself. That's what they do when you publish books, people.
What sort of stuff are they asking you, Tim?
You know, like, what's your favorite turn on? What's your favorite turn off? No.
Oh, kind of like what you do for all your imaginary Playboy centerfolds you create week after week after week after week.
You know what I mean. They just ask you, like, they got to tell the publicity people something. Tim likes riding his bike and petting his dog. He's a wonderful person. Buy his book.
Is that really what you wrote?
Yeah, so far.
Did you mention Seddy Bimco?
Nope. No.
Do you? It's like, folks, this is kind of the eternal struggle of Seddy Bimco. When I make a media appearance, they're like, anything you want to plug? And I'm like, Seddy Bimco? No. Nah. I'll think back to the most recent recording, and Tim will be like going, Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. I'm like, nah, we can't do that. We just can't have the world at large know this.
This episode is Hitler-free.
Yeah, is it? It's already said it 4 times. If you are somebody who enjoys this, like, congratulations on finding this secret podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only give it out to so many people.
Yeah. I mean, we have an entire like Discord that Tim keeps secret. It's like this
how
weird
do you
amount
invite people. I don't know how you invite people.
No, really you do, don't. Tim. I think you mention it. I think you mentioned the Discord name on here, and people who listen will find us.
Okay. Yeah. Is it called Seddy Bimco Part 2, The Revenge?
I actually have no idea what it's called.
Wow. I'll look this up later.
Yeah.
Producer Miss Lee, maybe she'll come and talk about it.
Or maybe she'll yell at you and do your own research.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So as you may have heard, I don't know because I walked away to fill up my water. We are currently in the midst of a 50-state tour, although we're going to do more than 50 because we're doing territories and stuff.
Really?
It occurred to me, Tim, we need to do Washington, D.C. That's its own thing.
Yep.
They are taxed without representation, Tim. We need to give them some representation on Seddy Bimco.
Yes.
And so this week we did, as Tim said, Maryland. And as we like to do, and we what we do is we, talk about a movie that was filmed here. We try to go for independent films. I think we nailed it with this one. And then we talk about, we synopsize, which is maybe not a word, the movie. And then we create revenge sequels that never had them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we like to say where in history this movie came out. In terms of where Star Wars came out, this movie came out.
Don't you dare use we.
4 years after Star Wars, 2 years after Empire, and that's important for this plot. And they have yet to see Return of the Jedi.
And some of them, if this movie is to believe, never will. Yeah. Yep. Actually, I do want to get. So we have facts. We normally start off with some facts about Maryland, but I actually want to address the facts you just said about that a little bit later. So stick a fork in that. Maryland.
Wow.
Yeah. Because there's some controversy about dates, Tim.
Okay,
but we're going to talk. Here's a date we know is true. Maryland.
Okay, go ahead.
Became the 7th state of the United States. It was one of the 13 original colonies, and April 28th, 1788.
Okay.
It's named Maryland, but its alternate names, what it almost was named, was Fuckland and Killland.
What about Maryland?
No, get it, fuck, marry, kill. You ruining my jokes. You always ruin my jokes. Tim's like, ah. All right. Maryland has a Nope. Maryland has a population of just over 6 million people. Its capital is Annapolis, but its biggest city is Baltimore.
Annapolis?
Annapolis, yeah. Annapolis, Maryland.
Isn't that the ship that just delivered the atomic bomb?
That's the Indianapolis.
Okay.
Folks, if you are an avid listener to Seddy Bimco, you know almost nary a week goes by without us doing some variation on the Indianapolis speech from Jaws. Tim, would you like to take your crack at it?
No, I'm just saying I got the wrong ship.
Oh no, yeah. Annapolis is where the Navy is headquartered, though. Okay. So you're kind of close.
Just missing a few letters.
I guess that means a city of, because polis is Greek for city. I guess it means city of Anna. That's something, huh?
That's something.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I thought Baltimore is one of 6 states of the United States that has a non-white majority of population.
Interesting.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And recently on my tour, because as I'm mentioning, I'm touring for my book Thor, I was doing some appearances in Baltimore, and it was really interesting city. It's where Edgar Allan Poe is buried. I saw where he was buried.
Oh, cool.
I was telling you about that. Like, you were like, is he buried in a ditch? People piss on his bones?
Did you say this last week, or did I see you in person?
I can't remember, so let's just not say it just in case. I'll say it really quickly. He was buried in like 4 different places in this thing. They moved him right up front with like a nice new thing, but he was originally buried in like 4 different graves. They keep moving this poor guy around.
Every time they move him, is he like, nevermore, stop it?
That's pretty good. 1/3 of the buildings in Baltimore are in the National Register of Historic Places.
Nice.
A full 1/3. That's crazy.
They're all haunted.
This city seemed haunted. Like, people always say New Orleans is haunted, but all New Orleans is haunted by is vomit and piss. This seems like haunted by vampires. I feel like there's definitely vampires in Baltimore.
I was there once, and we rode a trolley. Did you ride the trolley?
I didn't ride the trolley. I have news about the trolley coming up. But
all right.
Tim, when you were in Baltimore, didn't you get a text?
Oh, yeah, from when?
From Edgar Allan Poe, the ghost of Edgar Allan Poe. And it was telling you
that I was a clue on Jeopardy.
Yeah, and what was the question? Do you remember?
Oh, the actual Jeopardy clue?
Yeah.
Who had their Wikipedia page famously taken down by a mysterious criminal madman.
Criminal madman. Yeah. Does this mean you're closer to, folks, if you don't know, Tim Hamilton, current New Yorker cartoonist, best-selling author, former Zodiac killer. He had his Wikipedia page taken down by powers unknown for not meeting notability guidelines.
Yep.
It's outrageous. It's the crime of the century. You are famous. I mean, you were on Jeopardy. Edgar Allan Poe reached beyond the veil and texted you. How does he even get a phone there? I have another story to tell about Baltimore. May I share it?
Yeah. I have no stories.
All right. So I was in Baltimore recently, and I was, at the bookstore I was doing appearances for. I was talking to them, and they're like, right around the corner there is where Poe's buried. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to go see that. So they give me directions, like walk down this way, down Fayette, and you make a right and stuff. I'm like, cool. And I'm walking along. I'm like, just doodle-doo. I got my little sketchbook with me. And this lady from a car goes, hey, sir, there's a naked lady up ahead. And I'm just like, what? Yeah, she goes, there's a naked lady up ahead. I'm like, okay, and I wave at her like, whatever. Sure enough, Tim, I get a block up. You know what there's who's running around the street doing cartwheels and stuff?
A naked lady?
She wasn't fully naked. She had on a top.
Okay.
But there was a naked lady just cavorting and being all over the place, and bits were shaking and things were flapping, and it was weird. And I was like, that lady, she really tried to warn me about that Baltimore naked lady.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there's no punchline? I thought it was a joke.
No, that's just it. It was just there was a naked lady doing flips.
And did you say to her, where's Edgar Allan Poe's grave? You didn't ask
No,
me?
I tried very hard not to speak to her. I tried not to make eye contact. I tried not to make eye to butt contact. Eye to any part of her. I'm just like, let me just please. I actually said a prayer. I said, God, I don't believe in you and you don't believe in me. But if you let me get past this naked lady without me being accosted or otherwise noticed, I still won't believe in you. And that's what happened.
Was nobody else on the street?
Oh, there were people on the street.
Okay. Wow.
Everyone was doing. I would say almost everyone was doing a variation of what I did.
It's like New York. They're just like walking normally.
Yeah, you just were like, that lady's got no pants on. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but if you're in a crowded city and there's a woman running around with no pants on, she's probably not in her right mind.
No.
And I would hazard a guess that this poor person was not in their right mind. Maybe the strain of losing their pants made them snap. Maybe that was a side effect of their having snap. But I'm just like, we just don't want to be noticed by this person.
No. Nope. People should learn that from dogs.
Yeah, they should. I mean, you always put pants in your dog.
No, the lesson that I mean is when I walk my dog, if people just act normal.
You don't wear pants when you walk your dog.
No, I don't wear pants when I walk my dog. Yeah. That's how I train my dog. And people
That's
say,
how your dog gets sausage oil.
No, what I mean is if a person acts weird, like, oh, dog, they like, oh, I want to stay away from this dog. The dog notices you acting funny and wants to go investigate you. And then those people are like, oh, no, don't come towards me. And then you act more strange. That's what you got to do in New York City. You just act normal, keep walking, and people will not notice you.
Tim, do you think if you had been walking your dog Soul in Baltimore and there was a naked lady cavorting, do you think Soul would have been like, I want to go see that naked lady?
She would have been a little freaked out, I think.
I got some more Maryland news really quick. The state bird is the oriole.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Don't get excited, Mr. Cablasto. It's not the cookie. It's just a bird.
Oriole, not Oreo, you fool.
And a baseball team. Or football, I don't know. I'm telling Kevin not to be confused.
For those of you, our occasional co-host, Kevin Cablasto, who we have reduced to a walking Oreo eating stereotype. The state flower of Maryland is the black-eyed Susan. It's a real flower. Congrats. The state animal is a naked lady cavorting through the street. The first elevator was an electric elevator in 1887 in Baltimore. On August 10th, 1885, Tim, the first commercially operated electric streetcar in the entirety of America began operation in Baltimore.
What year?
1885.
I bet you Mark Twain wrote on it.
I bet you he didn't.
It.
Wasn't he dead by 1885?
No. He lived almost to like, Haley's Comet came back, remember? He came with it and he left with it.
I only know that because of that weird stop motion movie where it's the devil's in the Haley's Comet.
Black-eyed Susan?
You're just repeating things I said now? Yeah, what was your question?
Black-eyed Susan.
Yes. Not to be accused of the black-eyed peas.
That was my question. If there's any relation.
No.
Any relation?
Nope. None that well, maybe. I've never seen
Black-eyed Susan feet. Or black-eyed
maybe she's just a large plant.
Together? Okay.
Yeah, have you? Okay.
No.
I always like to say what the cryptids of Maryland of the state are. So there is Chessie, who is a serpent that lives in Chesapeake Bay. Mm-hmm. And this one's weird, Tim, because we've done another state where these two monsters came up. So I'm like, I hope we didn't do Maryland. There was the Goat Man, which was like a satyr that was spotted at several places in the 1970s.
Don't remember if you mentioned the Goat Man.
That was the one where people died seeing him. I think it was in Delaware. Yeah. And then also perhaps in Delaware was the Snallygaster.
No, I don't remember.
I just remember us talking about that name.
Oh, did I make a joke that he's on Sesame Street? Big Bird is the only
in
one
fact,
that can see.
You made the exact same joke. We had a whole side conversation about they can all see Snuffleupagus now. Yes. It was a whole thing. So, folks, if you want to hear that, go find that episode and let us know. Write to us at Seddy Bimco with an E at the end at gmail.com. And my final fact about Maryland, it did not secede in the Civil War, which is an extra way of tying us into this movie, Curse of the Cannibal Confederates.
Good segue, except you left out my flag.
Well, you should have spoke up.
The Maryland flag gives me a headache, if you'll take a look at it.
I thought it was actually kind of cool, but I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, Tim's not going to like this flag.
No.
And it's very busy.
Seal is, there's two guys. One has a shovel, one has a fish. So I guess one has a dead fish and he's going to bury the fish.
If you teach a man to shovel, you give him a fish for life. That's what Jesus said.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
They didn't have shovels back then. Come on.
Yes, they did. They had hammer and shovels. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
They had hammers in the morning, but they had no shovels.
Tim, do you know that the first hammers were used to make ham?
Yeah. Wow.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
You sure
Wait, did you hear that?
Did you hear that? Weren't they used to make flapjacks? Come on.
All right, let's go back. Let's rewind.
Yeah.
Let's rewind back. Let's talk about the movie Curse of the Cannibal Confederates.
This film follows 6 friends. A group of 6 friends, Mel, Wyatt, Bill, and we're going to talk about this name, Blind Kiyomi, Lynn, and Sarah, who unwittingly raise the undead corpses of Confederate soldiers. Bum-ba-da-bum.
Yeah, that's pretty good, and I will commend you for at least you took the effort to copy down the names, because I had a hard time.
Oh, yeah.
So let me just say, I mentioned up front there was the issue of the dates. So Tim mentioned that this movie was also known as Curse of the Screaming Dead. When it was it was directed by a man named Tony Malinowski, 25 years old at the time. Okay. Just so we feel a little bit of pity, because this movie's shit.
None of the names have links, right? I couldn't find anything.
No. There was like an article I read where it said I made note of like one person did something else in movies one other time, and it was like nothing to do with acting.
I found Kiyomi did sound and engineering in 1989 or something.
That must have been what it was. Yeah. So Tony Malinowski, age 25, released this movie as Curse of the Screaming Dead. 5 years later, Troma, the film company out of New Jersey, creators of Toxic Avenger and Sergeant Kabuki Man, Class of Nukem High, millions of of classic trash movies. Yes. They acquired this thing and re-released it with its new name, which is the version Tim and I saw, Curse of the Cannibal Confederates. And so that got this version we saw, Tim, got released in 1987.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
And Wikipedia says this is one of the top 5, considered one of the top 5 worst movies that Troma has in their catalog.
Well, specifically, I have a quote.
Yeah.
So I have 2 quotes I'm going to read. This film is a remake of sorts. It's based on a film that director Malinowski had done a year before called The Night of Horror, which this is the synopsis for that one. It was about dead Confederate soldiers tormenting a bunch of dirty hippies in a Winnebago.
Ah, okay.
Which sounds like something we should watch, except for judging by the quality of this, it sounds like something we shouldn't watch. And the quote about the Force 5 movies is in his book, All I Need to Know About Filmmaking I Learned from the Toxic Avenger. Troma president Lloyd Kaufman lists this among the 5 worst films in Troma's entire library.
Yep.
Tim, I have a list.
Already? Wow.
Yep. The list is the other 4 worst films in Troma's library.
These are real. They got to be real. Wikipedia.
Yeah, they're totally real. They're totally real. All right. Number 1, Zapruder Film 2, Zaprudening. Number 2, Bad Sound Quality, the movie. Number 3, Toxic Avenger Part 5, Toxoplasmosis. And the 4th of the worst films in the Troma categories, it came from Tim Hamilton's sandals.
Nice.
Yep.
I only have one critique.
Yes.
One. I think Zapruder film, it should have been just like Aliens. What's his name walks into the boardroom. Alien is written on the board. In this case, Zapruder is written on the board, and he just adds S. Zapruder
films.
Yeah, Zapruder films.
So, but it's like the first film is the Kennedy assassination. The rest is just pictures of him vacationing at the Jersey Shore.
All this other films.
I like the Zaprudening. All right.
So I realized I had to turn on closed captioning a few minutes into this film because everything's so horrible, but I didn't back it up. I know that 2 guys in the front of a van, there's never driving, never moving. They argue about going over a hill. I didn't quite understand what that was about.
I want to ask you this really quickly to make sure we saw the same version. Did yours open up with actually kind of weird pantomimes of like the zombies? Like they're just like in the field, there's music playing, they're like going, ooh.
Did you watch YouTube?
I did, but there might be more than one YouTube up there.
I don't
remember. So the reason I ask is when Troma took it over, they took a chunk of the zombies coming to life and put it at the beginning. Because without that, there's literally something like 45 minutes where there's no hint this is going to be a horror film.
It may have been, but I may have been sitting down and typing. I remember once the credits were over, I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this.
Okay.
Because
the credits went for like ever, too. I just want to mention that.
And as we could mention this now, the credits credit Kiyomi as Blind Kiyomi, and also on the Wikipedia page she's called Blind Kiyomi, which is I don't know why they did that. Seems very insulting. I mean, she's a character. She's blind. Is she real?
I will tell you.
What, found something out?
No, it took me a long time. I missed that credit, actually. So I'm watching this movie. I'm like, what is wrong with this person?
Oh, really?
Because she's not acting blind, but everyone else is like, well, okay, let's get into the movie.
Okay,
so we start seeing zombies, but or maybe we don't.
Maybe we don't.
I want to stress the sound quality of this is garbage.
Yep.
The movie looks like it was filmed on a Super 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark and bad. There's no redub. This is
I loved it.
Yeah, Tim texted me like, this is a real me movie. I'm like, yeah, it is. And so it starts off where we're seeing what is we learn is a truck cab. It's actually they're clearly not driving.
Nope, it never moves.
I wrote down it's 3 beardos who look like they smell like basements and dirty socks.
Mel, Wyatt, and what's the other one?
Mel, Wyatt, and Zeke.
Yeah. I guess.
It's not Zeke. It's something. Scoot.
Make me scroll back up here.
Dingus.
Mel, Wyatt, and Bill.
Mel and Bill sound too close to that's a mistake.
I know. But they're arguing everybody in this movie acts like they're in middle school because he's like, you stole a ring. And they brought in exploding bullets, and they accuse Mal of stealing all the time, and they're trying to get over the next hill. Did you understand their conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I get after reading a synopsis of this in several spots that it's established. They're trying to establish that Mel is a kleptomaniac.
Yeah,
and Mel also did bring exploding bullets, which they're going hunting.
Oh, there's a lot. They're going hunting. They're going hiking. They have fireworks, and we'll get.
And the fireworks, unless I'm mistaken, the fireworks never pay off in any way.
Oh, they do at the end. You didn't see that? Do they? They threw them on the fire, and they suddenly were blowing up zombies.
I don't know.
Anyway,
spoilers. There's zombies. You may have guessed from the title. There's zombies in this. So they're just talking about shit, and it's really hard to hear, and it's really hard to follow the conversation. And I think they're trying to establish Mel as kind of a bad guy.
Yeah,
but. All 3 of these guys just look like fucking 70s bearded rejects. Mm-hmm. One of them is blonde, so at least you could tell him apart. Yeah, but I really couldn't tell Mel and Bill apart half the movie.
No, and they never show this van driving. We just go to the back of the van, which all the ladies are there. Kiyomi, her sister Lynn, and Sarah.
Yeah, and I want to stress, when this happens, after we're watching the unmoving cabin of this thing, I wrote, suddenly a blonde lady from another movie is like, hey guys, why'd you stop? Because I'm like, oh wait, is this meant to be the same spot?
Yeah, I know.
There is an extended sequence where we see the 3 women having a conversation. They are never in the same shot together.
No.
There's really no indication they're even in the same space. I don't think they were even filmed at the same time.
Nope.
And especially Lynn and Sarah talking for a long time, and all of a sudden blind Kiyomi speaks, and Lynn's like, shut up, you asshole. And I'm like, what? Who the hell was that?
I know.
There was another person there this whole time.
And they're going camping, and what does blind Kiyomi want? I'm not going to call her that, but Kiyomi, what does she want? What is she asking for help to get? You remember?
No.
Bikinis.
Oh, yeah, she's complaining it's hot. And she's like, can I get my bikini? So the 3 women change into bikinis.
For no reason. No reason. Suddenly they're taking their clothes off.
Yeah, and then the vehicle, the first line of dialogue we get is Sarah saying, hey guys, why'd you stop? So they've been stopped this whole time. The women are hot in the back of this thing, so they change into bikinis.
And
then we cut to the outside of the thing. They're in bikinis for a second, and then they start getting dressed again. I'm like,
George?
Yep. Oh, is this your list?
I have a list as to why the girls put on bikinis for hiking. Why'd they do that?
All right, why?
Why'd they bring bikinis? So Lynn is sometimes known as, they call Kiyomi blind Kiyomi, so I'm playing.
We've established that, yeah.
So Lynn is sometimes known as hard of hearing Lynn. She heard the guys talking about how much they were into beekeeping and thought they said bikini. And Sarah, who's sometimes known.
Let the record show, because this is not. I'm sadly shaking my head at Tim.
Sarah, who's sometimes known as misunderstanding Sarah, she heard the guys talking about how much they like the atomic test on the Bikini Atoll, and she thought they meant bikini. She misunderstood. She thought they liked bikinis. And Mal, our villain.
Mel.
Okay, Mel. He's a big Star Wars fan. And he was sad that Princess Leia wasn't in a bikini in Empire Strikes Back. So he asked Kiyomi to bring along a bikini and her Princess Leia mask. But she must have understood and brought along her Lieutenant Uhura outfit.
Well, Tim, I have a question to ask you.
Yeah, what?
We know this movie was filmed in 82 in its initial release. Mm-hmm. But if Tim, if we in fact saw the Troma release from 87, Then Mel got to see Princess Leia in a bikini. Which do you think it was? Which world did? If we only knew which version you saw.
He never saw. He never saw.
No wonder he's such an angry man.
Lieutenant Uhura.
Let's see what else. Yeah, so I wrote the ladies are stripping down. Credits are still playing at this point. We're like 4 or 5 minutes in. There's still credits playing over the thing. I mentioned that all three of these women were in different places at different times they filmed.
Doesn't it look like it's cold out? Like the trees have not very many leaves. I thought it might have been fall or spring. But it's hard to see.
It is. It's the trees were kind of indistinct brownish blobs throughout.
But the guys are like, yeah, put some clothes on. What are you in bikinis for?
And
right.
Sarah, she's the blonde lady. Her main character trait is that she is a woman's lib and she's always being annoying. And she's like, have you guys been drinking? And one of the guys is like, Bill spilled beer down my throat. Oh. And then they're talking about the ring that Mel stole, which I didn't know what this was at this point.
He calls it his precious.
He calls it his precious. When he puts it on, he turns invisible. There is a weird scene where Kiyomi, who at this point I didn't realize was meant to be blind, but I just want to stress, she doesn't act like she's blind. She acts like there's something wrong with her.
Well, there is, because she spends the whole movie with Mal going, Mal, please hold me. Please kiss me. Please hug me. And Mal's like, blind woman on a hike. You're just going to hold me up.
Do you remember there's like a weird little bit of drama when the other girls get dressed because they're like, oh, yeah, we're in the middle of the fucking woods and she won't put her clothes on for some reason?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's just there was so much. I'm like, and then she's going like, Kiyomi's like, Mel, I'm thirsty. And they're getting her water. I'm like, what's wrong with her? And they do this weird cloud wipe and like this old timey Ken's Burns violin music plays as Lynn's giving her sister a drink. And I wrote down my notes, something's wrong with her.
But Lynn's her sister. And so I assume she's been blind her whole life because she's just all the time. She's got to learn to do things for herself. Don't help her. She didn't bring any... I don't know.
I can't express to you how if the character wasn't called Blind Kiyomi, you wouldn't know she was blind.
He says it though. Because Mal's like a blind woman on a hike. She's gonna hold us up.
Eventually, I guess that's maybe I wasn't paying enough attention.
If a bear attacks, I guess we can leave her behind.
So they're going drinking, hunting, and hiking.
And fireworks and bikinis.
And they have done the same route a bunch of times, we learn. Yeah. So they decide they're going to take a different trail and find some adventure. They bring fireworks in Sarah's pack.
Because the one guy's like, we don't know if there's good camping spots up there.
I get the feeling,
camping spots are a dime a dozen or something.
I know. I should have done let me see.
Yeah, that's what they cost back then. A dime.
A dime a dozen. I didn't. I meant to do a George's current currency kerner. Should we do it really quick?
Wow.
George's current currency kerner.
Okay,
this movie, Tim, first question. Should we assume this was filmed we're doing the 1982 version? Okay.
A dime a dozen in 1882. Campsites are a dime a dozen.
What do you think that is worth in today's money?
Probably, I always do it by comic books, but the comic books seem to have raised so fast.
Yeah,
you shouldn't use
$1. No, not even. It's 33 cents.
Ooh, wow.
You could get a dozen campsites for 33 cents nowadays.
But only one page of a comic book.
Not even, probably. Mel fires his gun in the air, and Kiyomi's like, don't do that. And then she starts saying she's hearing bells. This is when I finally realized she's blind.
Uh-huh.
I wrote down in my notes, she's blind. I had no idea.
And he walks through the woods for like 10 minutes. There's a lot of filler in here.
Okay, so this is about the time I realized I needed to start playing this movie at 1.5 speed. Right. A nice thing about YouTube is you can play these movies back fast. I can't believe how long and slow some of these takes were still with me playing it at like essentially 1.5 speed. So he is walking through the woods for like ever as this music plays. He finds an old cemetery.
Church.
He finds a church and he finds like an old bullet. Well, he finds the bullet first. He's like, okay. Yeah, you could blow a man to hell with something like that, he says. By the way, it was like this really weird... Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really weird white-looking bullet. I looked it up. That's actually because I'm like, did they even have bullets in the Civil War? They did towards the, like, not right away. And they were these weird white bullets. So I'm like, they actually did some stuff.
Wow. But then he finds a diary.
Yep. And
it's a diary of a Confederate soldier, George. Did your closed captioning show what it said?
No, I had a thing where I wrote down my notes. I looked away and couldn't see what he grabbed, and I didn't rewind it because I had a cat laying on me.
Oh, well, I
didn't know it was a diary till later.
He read some of it. Of the guy who wrote the diary in the war. So he said, I don't know if you saw it. Want me to tell you? You missed it?
Yeah, because I'm go for it. I'm sure like Precious Waters, Zapruder film Sasquatch.
George, no.
Yeah.
Day 45 of this horrible war. I've lost my only copy of Unmentionables Monthly. It had a centerfold with Miss Dorothy Snodgrass.
Oh man, I was so close.
I dare say she showed off her corset and a glimpse of her underarm.
I have a question.
What?
Was it an actual whalebone corset, Tim?
Yeah, it was.
Nice. Oh, was it a sexy beluga whale?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that whale, Tim.
Had very smooth skin.
Nice. Tell me about the whale's butt.
But the whale oil heated the lamp.
Uh-huh.
The lamp.
What about the sausage oil?
She was sitting next to. But it had a centerfold. And she named the one thing that made her off her chump. That means a bit nuts back then. Off your chump. She likes
nowadays it means to kill a loser.
Yes. She likes handlebar mustaches.
But only in the pubic region.
Yes. And what does she look for in a man? She likes a man who's a sound sleeper, so he doesn't wake up when she's cutting off his handlebar mustaches.
In the pubic region.
Yes.
Nice. It's weird. She really broadly telegraphed her plot there.
And her idea of a perfect man, someone who would not accuse her of being a witch when he sees how many handlebar mustaches she has collected in jars stacked in her basement.
Stacked in basements. Wow.
They had basements back then.
I know.
They had to crawl in. But.
Yeah, did I mention that the first basement was built in Maryland in 1842?
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
What was the first thing stored in that basement?
Handlebar mustaches, of course.
Yes.
You're acting like that's a weird thing, yeah. So we cut back. So while Mel is walking around this church, we cut back to the rest of the people who now they hear bells too, as well as explosions. Yeah. And then rather hilariously, what's her name? Kiyomi? Kiyomi yells, "Mel's in trouble," and she runs off and immediately face plants hard. It's awesome. Oh, no. Just like blam.
Why are we laughing at the poor girl?
Because Tim, I don't know how to bring this to you. Blind Kiyomi, as she is credited everywhere. I don't think she was really blind. I also don't think she was a very good actor.
No.
So I think her face planting made me laugh out loud. And then Mel comes back. He's like, "What are you all joking? I didn't hear any bells." And Sarah's like, "It sounded like a funeral." But
Wyatt tells Mel that he's been a goofy bozo. I love that.
And he goes, "You're the bozo." They have a real bozo fight.
Because she says shit later. I thought at first maybe they wanted to keep it PG or something, but I know Sarah says shit later. So
I think, we should maybe in like Maryland at this time, bozo was something really bad. Maybe. You goofy bozo. You're the bozo. There's no bells in this church. They're about to murder each other over this.
They are.
So then Wyatt, the blonde beardo, he finds just a wooden crate. He finds an old Confederate flag. Yep. And there's also, they mentioned a gravestone with like about 50 names on it.
Yeah.
And I wrote kimono by accident because of autocorrect. She's like, "Leave the flag. The flag means more than money to those men who died here," because they wanted to sell it. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like,
Sarah's like really.
Sarah wants to sell, but at this point, all right, quick history lesson off.
The flag looks nice, good condition.
It's no way it's that old. It's like they bought it at like Kmart right before this movie. But let me just talk about this. This movie, we're supposed to, like, the way this movie is structured, we're supposed to have great sympathy for these Confederate soldiers.
Yes.
And like when
just
we learn their origin,
George, just doing what
the Union soldiers are the bad guys, and everyone in this group is all like, "Oh, but these poor Confederates, that flag meant so much to them. You know, that flag they used to enslave people."
Yes.
I'm like, are we really? I don't feel good about this part. And there's a line later I'll get to that really kind of drags it home. So like I'm a little bit like, this is a bit icky.
It is.
Like,
what state is this supposed to be in? Like, they don't say.
They don't, and that is interesting because like it could be Maryland. Because the thing about Maryland, like I said, it didn't secede, and the way Maryland worked is up north of Maryland, everyone's like, get rid of the slaves, and the people down south more, where Maryland's kissing the South, they're like, but they do free work for us, and we're awful people.
Yeah.
And so like it was really a front line for a lot of the war because like the north of the state was like, fuck you, and the south of the state was like, fuck you, and they killed each other. So maybe it was in Maryland.
I don't know. Yeah,
and then,
but Kiyomi's like, she says you can take everything from the dead, but what is it? Except their pain. You can take anything from the past.
And then she also compares these dead Confederates, these people who died for the right to own other human beings. She compares them to her grandma in Hiroshima.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, so the innocent victims of Hiroshima, like that's there is a lot of like icky stuff in this.
Yeah, it didn't come together.
So Sarah's mad that they won't let them take the Confederate flag, which will let her make money. So she goes off to smoke in the graveyard. She's sitting on a cross that is obviously made of wood and just stuck there, and it starts to move.
Oh,
and she freaks out.
Yes.
She's like, the cross is moving.
Yep. Because there's a few.
What is a joke with Tim? I wanted to tell really quickly. I've been listening to old episodes of Seddy Bimco, and the amount of times you start telling a joke, and go, never mind, is hilarious.
It's because Kiyomi, she says, you can take anything from the dead but their pain, right?
Yeah.
There's a few other things you can't take from the dead.
Oh,
only one.
I know one. You can't take no guff. You can't take no guff from the dead.
Nope.
No.
Thank you. You can't take their mustaches because Dorothy Snodgrass was already there.
She's already taken them. What else? What else, Tim?
You can't take their livestock because they bought the farm.
No, you can't take them seriously because they're dead.
That's right.
All right. We're good. That was a good improv list.
Cut this out.
No, that was good.
But Sarah, she does really want to grave rob the place. She's like,
yeah.
I thought she was going to sneak back and take it.
I thought so too, but then they'd already established Mel, the great evil mastermind, had already taken the
diary.
The diary.
Important.
So
our only plot point. Our only plot point.
The other plot. Also, remember the other plot point is blind Kiyomi. She exists. So then it's suddenly night. They're camping out like close by to the church somewhere, though you can't tell because this movie, even the broad daylight scenes are so dark. This stuff is. You see like kind of whitish blobs that are maybe their skin. It's so bad.
And Kiyomi's like, hold me, Mel, please hold me.
And he's like, okay, so I get the impression it seems like Mel is new to this group, right? Like maybe like the other two.
I don't know.
It's weird because like it's a new couple and they're all like, well, definitely the couple of Kiyomi and Mel is new. Like they've been all together.
Are they a couple?
Yeah, because they're all go like, hey guys, kiss, guys.
I know they like, do it. And he's like, no, kiss like you mean it. They're like,
yeah,
it's like they're middle school kids again. And
he's so weird.
He kisses her like, there, I did it. But you know why he doesn't want to kiss Kiyomi? I'm sorry, George.
Oh no,
there's a few reasons.
Oh God, this too many lists.
I'm sorry. Well, this movie is nothing. I thought we're not going to talk about this long, are we? But those are reasons he didn't want to kiss.
I'm just here eating dried mango while you do your list.
He didn't want to kiss Kiyomi. He was afraid she'd taste like blind girl.
What does that taste like, Tim?
I don't know. But he was afraid that she would notice he tasted like a compulsive masturbator.
I bet he did.
The third reason, he thinks you can catch blindness from kissing, just like that time he caught masturbation fever from kissing his Farrah Fawcett poster.
Isn't it ironic that people would say you go blind from masturbating?
Yes.
Do you think that's how Kiyomi went blind?
Probably in this movie. Only if she's Catholic. I don't think she's Catholic.
Since this movie dared bring up the specter of Hiroshima, I'm surprised she didn't die like by staring at the atom bomb or something.
Ooh.
All right.
So much stuff, bad stuff.
All right, so
Sarah freaks out about a bug. I also want to say, and everybody laughs about that for 10 minutes. 10 minutes of laughter.
Yeah. Well, it's right after she's like, I could never kill anything. And then like a bug, she's like, oh, why didn't you kill it? It's like, Sarah, have some dignity. So during all this stuff, this is going on.
I hate Sarah, Sarah's my most hated character in this movie.
Is she? Oh, Mel's my most hated. Actually, they all are. I hated everybody in this movie.
Yes, but Sarah particularly.
So I felt bad for Sarah because like they kept being like, you think women are equal, blah. I'm like, she's not giving me a fair handshake.
Anything she says though, she's like, I like hamburgers. They're like, more of that women's lib stuff.
Yeah, it's
nothing.
Insane.
It doesn't matter what she says.
Yeah, she's like, I think women should be in the kitchen. That's more of that women's lib stuff. I mean, wait.
Yeah,
I like duck season. I like rabbit season. Blah.
They see some fireworks that they don't show us because they couldn't film it. So
absolutely.
They're like, what are those lights?
It's lights over at the church, which they're saying. And they're like, some party. Let's go crash the party. There must be some people having a party over at the old church.
Right.
And then I'm not exaggerating to say you might be like, this is a lot of movie. If it weren't for the trauma cut where they showed some really shitty looking zombies gesticulating, this is the first time we see them. So picture the darkest, murkiest film. Yeah.
Oh,
because after they go to bed,
we skip Sarah.
Tents.
Sarah's naked, and Bill's fully dressed, trying to get into.
She's in her underwear.
Into the. I'm just making Cablasto jealous. We saw everything, Cablasto.
Oh, everything. She came up to the camera and just shook it. Tim, this happens after we see the zombies.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Because I wrote several murky minutes of shitty zombies from opening, and I was
like 10 minutes.
And I was playing this. It's so long, and I was playing this on 1.25 speed at this point. So they cut back to the tents, and she's in her underwear. Or no, wait. She's completely naked. The only thing she's wearing, Cablasto, she has 2 Oreos placed over each of her nipples. And Wyatt's like, give me them Oreos. And she goes, I'm tired of you grabbing me every time I'm in my underwear and my Oreos.
And if Dirk is listening, those are 2 biscuits over her nipples.
Yep. And
chocolate
else?
Biscuits.
That's all our listeners.
If Darcy from the movie mixtape, she's watching. They put two little pictures of Riker's face, Riker from Star Trek.
And Chris, if you're our friend who never listens, Chris, if you're listening, our friend who never listens, it's just she just has her nipples out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kiyomi is bugging Mal. She's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" He's like, I'm reading a diary. Leave me alone."
I really want to stress, like Tim keeps saying it's like junior high. It really is. It's like they're a couple, and Mel seems embarrassed to show her any affection. She's like, "Can you hold me?" He's like, "I don't wanna." Like, why are you even dating her? What are you getting from this? You don't like clearly you don't like girls. You don't like her.
Yes.
You're embarrassed. He's like, "What if the guys see me beat?" And she's like, "Well, can you read to me? My sister Lynn reads to me." He's like, "What if the guys see me reading to you?" I'm like, what? They'll think you're not the biggest asshole in the world for 1 second, maybe. So he's reading this thing, and it's like it's all stuff from like.
Well,
it
says I wrote it down.
Oh, you wrote it down.
One soldier wants to wring Lincoln's neck. It's getting pretty terrible around here. And then
that is literally something that's in. So you're not just making up weird shit.
No, well, another entry it says,
Tim, listeners know you lie.
Been so long since I saw the kindly face or felt the touch of the fairer sex. I think of my betrothed back in Alabama. I miss her, even though she did kiss me once and thus infected me with masturbation fever. So, you don't remember reading that one?
No. And was that Mrs.? Was that Farrah Fawcett?
No, the Civil War. That would have been Dorothy Snodgrass.
Dorothy Fawcett?
Snodgrass.
Dorothy Snodgrass Fawcett.
For our younger listeners, Farrah Fawcett was on the wall of every child in the 70s and early 80s.
Child, you think?
Yeah, 12-year-olds. That's a child.
Question, Jim, as a person who was a 12-year-old in the 70s, did you have a picture of Farrah Fawcett?
Nope. I don't think I would have been allowed.
You just fucking lied.
I just went to my friend's house and I peeked through the window and said, "Ooh, he's got Farrah Fawcett on the wall."
You know, that is funny because, all right, when we were kids, everybody, it was really hard to see naked ladies. If you want to see naked ladies, you had to maybe, if you were lucky, walking the streets of Baltimore, there was a lady running around, but that didn't happen often.
You had to trace pictures of She-Hulk and just erase her clothes.
It was Red Sonja. One of my friends, in his basement, there was a room that their father had just a puzzle of a nude woman that was kind of like mounted on the wall.
Oh no.
And we would go and stand in the doorway and just stare at it from a distance. Because that's all we had. We'd be like, wow. "Hey, you want to go down to the basement and stare at your dad's puzzle?" We'd be like, "Yes, yes, I do."
I have a lot of more questions was it laminated so you could put it on the wall?
It must have been covered in some way. The thing was, okay, it was framed, but and when I say it was on the wall, it wasn't. It was like leaning up against the back of the wall. And for some reason, we wouldn't walk into the room. Like it was just like, I think he was afraid his dad would see that he had been in there. So we'd open the door. It was a small room.
Yeah.
Like, and we would stare from the distance. And like, I remember like the light didn't even go on. So it'd be like just a beam of light from the doorway and be like, oh, he's got boobs.
So he had a conversation with his wife about where to hang that on the wall. And she's like, how about on the floor in a room where the lights don't work?
Yeah. I suspect it was something that existed before he was married. And she's like,
and he wouldn't throw it away. Wow.
Yeah, he's like, I love her.
I wonder who it was. You probably don't know.
No, she was blonde though, I think.
Maybe it was Farrah Fawcett.
Back to the movie. At this point, while they're reading the diary, Kiyomi's like, this sounds like a Civil War diary. And it literally says stuff like, so here's again this idea we're supposed to feel bad for these guys. Yeah. It's like it's the leader of the guy who I didn't mention the zombies. I just want to say what these zombies look like. If you've ever seen like Mano's Hands of Fate, one of the zombies looks like Mano's Hands of Fate. The lead zombie, who is the
I'm going to call him a general.
Captain, the general. I thought he looked like Mac the Knife from those old McDonald's commercials.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
He had like a big white head. These zombies look like shit.
Yes. At least they had white faces so we could see them.
Yeah, they had white faces. And as the movie goes on, less and less of them are actually dressed like Confederates because they clearly, if you look in the credits, they thank like some sort of some reenactment thing.
This is like the other movie we saw, I think, where people were like, we're here today, but we can't be here tomorrow. And
that's been a thing lately, yeah. Like that opening scene where the women were talking and none of them were clearly in the same space. No. I think, this is like filmed on weekends. And she's like, this sounds like a Civil War diary. We do learn that they were tortured to death by the evil Union. Mm-hmm. Yes. Flayed a man alive, pulled off all his skin by his face. It was like a monkey did it.
Yep.
And she's yelling.
Gave them masturbation fever. That's what they gave them blankets infected with masturbation fever.
Oh man, it's like crusty spots on the blanket.
I'm not going to
explain.
That's gross. Yeah, sausage oil all over it. So anyway, I forget why this happens, but she promises not to tell that Mal stole this diary for some reason. Yeah,
because the other one, everyone comes down on him. So she is weirdly obsessed with Mel, and like it's not healthy. Everyone else comes down on Mel because he steals shit all the time. She's like, you diary, you took that from the church. He's like, no, I didn't. I swear. It's like, where else did you get a fucking Civil War diary you're reading? And then we get this like really weird story where Kiyomi, of course, because this is a bad movie, and because she's blind, Kiyomi also has psychic powers, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, she tells the story about...
She has the shining, George.
She has the shining. She is. And she tells this story about when she was a little kid, she had this puppy, and she had this terrible feeling something bad was going to happen to the puppy, and she cried and screamed all day, and her family's like, no, you don't gotta take that puppy away. And then, like, I think the house falls on the puppy or something.
No,
crazy.
It got away and got hit by a car.
Got hit by a car. And then she was sad, and she goes, that psychic flash I felt when that puppy got killed, I felt something 100,000 times worse for you, Mel.
Ooh.
When I heard the bells and other sounds. And he's like, what were those other sounds?
A guy in a...
Let's improv a list right now.
The sounds of a man typing in a big hotel in Colorado, typing, all work, no play, makes Jack a dull boy.
That's funny because I thought the sounds were a little boy wiggling his finger going, red rum, red rum. I also think I think it was what you at first thought was a tuba, but was actually a man playing an overweight man with flappy arms playing a solo with his arm. Okay. That was one of the sounds. What else, Tim?
Oh my God. The sounds of
silence. There was the sounds of silence. It was the album by Simon and Garfunkel.
The sound by... sounds of...
Tim is in a panic. The sounds of panic as Tim has to improv. I don't do under pressure. Kevin Cablasto, Zapruder. Playboys found in the woods.
Cablasto chewing Oreos. And a man turning pages in his diary.
Who's that?
Whoever wrote that diary.
Did you Oh, no, never mind. All right. So at this point...
Did she ask somebody how ugly Mal is? I have that written down, but I don't remember that. Oh, I wrote, someone should describe to Kiyomi how ugly Mel is. That's what I was saying. That's all I had to do. He's got giant sideburns. He steals.
And a
mustache.
Yeah, he's a loser.
A mustache in his pubic hair. Mustache
Suddenly,
his eyebrows.
Finally, the zombies attack. Lynn screams. This zombie comes out. It's a poorly lit zombie. It looks like shit, even in the dark. They immediately kill it. Just like, it goes down so easy. I'm like,
Because they have exploding bullets. That's one. They have one exploding head that they use over and over for the zombie.
Oh man, it's so funny. First when they killed out the exploding bullet, then like suddenly there's more zombies, and I will give them credit for this. A lot of times in movies, it takes a while to figure this out. Like one of the guys immediately is like, aim for the heads, and close up shots of heads exploding, like paper mache heads. One of their heads goes on fire. It's paper mache head.
They do throw their fireworks on the fire. I guess you missed that. And suddenly we're supposed to think that the rockets shoot off, explode more heads. That's what I didn't
get that.
It's so bad.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think Sarah said shoot for the heads, and they're like, more women's lib. So what happens? They go to sleep, right? Or it's daytime?
No, they run into the woods, and like I don't actually know if it's supposed to be the morning.
Oh, or if it's just bad. They run around. But Kiyomi wants to go with Mal again, and Mal's like, I can't bring you with me.
There's a hilarious scene where like they're under attack, and Sarah goes, I want a gun too. Cut to Mel, no, and then that's it.
Right.
Keeping along the long-standing Seddy Bimco tradition of no matter how bad it is, you can't give a woman a gun because like that. I think the first time it happened was like back before he's even a regular host, where we did Chopping Mall,
right?
Where they had like machine guns. Like, well, you women can't use them.
No.
Nah, you'll just you'll shoot us all or something.
Yes, they can't. It's a fact.
They're still arguing over if there's a zombie. Wyatt, particularly the blonde guy, doesn't believe they're real, and a zombie comes out. They kill it, and like the guy who's not Mel yells, "Does that look human, you lousy bastard?" And I'm like, yes. It looks like a cheap actor with gray face paint. It looks exactly human.
They pretend to get upset with each other, and then I don't know where some cops show up, but we never see the cop car move, do we? It's just like they're there. They're getting out of their car. Oh, I love this actor too.
I wrote, suddenly bad acting cops arrest them. Just so you all know,
he had so many lines that were unnecessary.
He drops a really weird line. So they tell him what happens. The cop kind of believes them. Something's going on. He's like, well, your kids are obviously scared, but there's no way the dead came back to life.
I know.
Somebody must. And he mentions the governor has a pet project back over there. Yes, and he gestures to the church. Somebody dug up all the graves. It's like the governor's pet project is a Confederate cemetery. Yes. What's he doing there?
I don't know. Maybe.
So he decides, snap moment, he's like, somebody dug up all the graves, hung them from trees, and swung them at you. That's what you think you're attack. And then he cut to the other cop going, sicko.
Then the cop says, gotta tell the wife to stop playing with the Ouija board. Spooky business.
You're right, there was a line about that.
And he says, spooky business.
Spooky business.
Then he says, I'm glad I didn't take up undertaking like my daddy told me. Mm-hmm. Like, oh.
Is this a joke? Is this going somewhere?
No, that's what he said.
Okay.
You didn't hear it?
Okay. That's I remember the first part, yeah. So, I do want to mention, too.
He had all these unnecessary lines about being spooky.
These cops are each 90 years old. There's two of them.
One looks like he's made out of Play-Doh. I'm sorry.
That's so... Yeah, they are not... But it's also weird. They meet the cops, and I'm like, well, clearly they're going to jump out and get him. But like the cops are like, all right, we'll take you back to the car. And the other one's going to go back and make sure no one's following you. Because Mel was about to say, he's like, we've been followed for hours.
Yes.
So it's like, okay.
The older cop goes in the woods.
Yeah, they're both very old.
And this guy's like Elmer Fudd. I don't know how to... What's he look like? He reminds me of somebody.
Elmer Fudd's, oh my God, this is my favorite part.
Yes.
So they get back and they're all talking at the car, and the cop's telling him his theory again about the swinging corpses in the trees. And then we see the old cop, who Tim says looks like Elmer Fudd. He gets, again, at this point I'm watching it on double speed. He gets attacked by the zombies, and he's making he's going,
I got a clip, George. I'll put the clip right in here. Sounds he made. Kind of like a squirrel being beaten. I don't know.
It goes on for so long. And the attack is just like they're each grabbing his arms, just kind of pushing him back. They're not biting him.
No. He runs away, but then he trips, just like Kiyomi.
Yep.
And they jump on him again, and then they eat him? Does he get eaten?
No, he gets all the way back to where they are in the car. He runs in, they see, and then they start eating him.
There's an eating scene that's 10 minutes long too. Just eating.
So this is at this point is when I can tell what's going on. It's a little bit after this because the zombies attack. They're the guys with the guns and the cop are all fighting, killing all these zombies. One of the zombies gets the other cop.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, but Wyatt dies at this point.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Could you tell they shot the police car with the exploding bullet and blew up the car and killed all the zombies? That's what happened.
I did write that. I said, I think that. But it didn't really look like that.
No.
I said, Mel blows up car, maybe?
That's what I wrote. Question marks.
Yeah, because like you kind of see an explosion, but it's not clearly the car. It's just very weird, very cheap.
But they run, zombies eat for 10 minutes with sound effects. Made me so hungry.
Oh my! No, it doesn't. Because the sound effects. Did you get a clip of this?
Yes, I did.
Because these clips, at least at double speed, it sounded like sex noises to me.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was even sped up. It was so slow. They're eating. They're doing like Night Living Dead stuff. They're pulling meat out of like dummies, and this is like. Oh,
I think it sounded like masturbation fever.
It does sound like masturbation.
Also,
can I mention something, Tim?
Yeah.
Do you remember what this movie was originally called?
Masturbation Fever?
Masturbation Fever, a.k.a. Curse of the Screaming Dead?
Yes.
At no point do these dead scream. They make this weird sexual moaning. It sounds maybe not sexual. It sounds like someone getting a massage.
Yeah.
It's upsetting.
Well, so they run around a lot. We burn a lot of film.
They split up again. Kiyomi wants to go with Mel again because she's like mentally challenged.
He's like, shut up. Put your pants on. Shut up. Stop trying
to
hug me.
I wrote down, here's a note I wrote. Someone fights zombies in the dark as someone screams.
And they get to a house. There's an abandoned house.
Just a house. Yep.
I wouldn't have known what happened if I didn't read the Wikipedia, but we'll get to it. But they get in the house and they're all like, why are they after us? And Mel is still like, he's got the diary. I guess he's
still hiding this
for some reason. I guess that's why he's a kleptomaniac. He's not going to give it back. Wyatt looks at the diary. He's like, you got the diary.
No, Wyatt's dead at this point. It's the other guy.
Bill looks at the diary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ankles monthly. Yeah.
I think also I'm pretty sure Lynn's dead at this point, maybe?
Well, they all die in this house except for Bill. And
when I read Bill and Lynn survive, Kiyomi dies.
Yeah, they all die. I read Wikipedia, only Bill survives. That's what I wouldn't have known that if I didn't read Wikipedia.
No, because at the end, somebody actually says something to him.
Well, are you going to say
it's a woman's voice?
This is the end. Are you going to mention the last uncomfortable weirdness of this movie?
Is it the bit when we learn how the zombies came about?
Yes.
All right. So this diary, they're reading it. Kiyomi is reading the bit about how the zombies were tortured Confederates, just good men, just good Confederates who were tortured to death by the evil Union.
Right.
And the diary says, they made the mistake of letting me keep my slave who knows voodoo.
It's from Barbados.
From Barbados.
He knows the heathen skill.
Yep. He made us zombies in the power of Christ to avenge ourselves upon the Union. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So like you're good, quote unquote, good zombies who own fucking people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Everybody gets eaten. Yep.
He gives the diary back.
Mel gets choked by like the zombie carrying the big Confederate flag because he won't give it back. And then the other guy, Bill
gives it back to the zombies. And the
way I interpret it is somebody says, Bill? And then, I don't know. That's the movie, folks.
And folks, how this was like Star Wars?
Oh, how was this like Star Wars?
Like Star Wars, in the sequel of this movie that they didn't make, but they had the script written, Mel and Kiyomi, turns out they were brother and sister.
You were not allowed. The deal is Star Wars. The deal is not Empire Strikes Back. It's not Return of the Jedi. It's not Rogue One or Force Awakens.
No, that's why it's like Star Wars.
No, it's not like Star Wars. It's like Star Wars.
We didn't know they were brother and sister.
But that's nothing like Star Wars.
That's why Mel's always like, get away. I don't want to kiss you. I don't want to hug you. They wanted to make sure nothing too bad happened so that when they reveal their brother and sister, it's all okay.
Okay.
It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars.
And I like to counter Tim's Star Wars mania, I like to talk about how this is reminiscent of 1986 film by Jim Henson, Labyrinth. And I'm going to say state-of-the-art creature effects and makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Labyrinth, like, it's just like those costumes, those puppets, they're great. They're so realistic. Complete. And so is this movie. Definitely, totally.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
That's it. There's no babies. There's no music.
No babies, no music.
No labyrinths.
No pop stars. No Jennifer Connelly. No labyrinths.
The plot was a labyrinth.
The plot was just shit. Labyrinth didn't lionize like fucking Confederate soldiers. Yeah.
All right. You know what we do now?
Right.
We read our short revenge sequence. Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you.
Revenge.
I'm keeping them short. I'm deciding.
You go first. Let's hear it.
One paragraph long.
Ooh. So I'm trying to, folks just at home, just to give you a peek behind the scene, I'm trying to wean Tim off of even writing. I'm like, Tim, just go for it. Just spit it. And he's like, I can't.
I don't write these.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
My
Yeah, definitely never
assistant
reading.
does.
What is it? So are you telling us it's an RJ McGillicuddy, a.k.a. going to be full of turd jokes?
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Cablasto gave it a try. Anyway.
Oh, all right. Let's hear it. Who's your revenge?
So Wyatt. Well, Bill. He's the only one alive. Bill.
Yes, maybe someone else. There was definitely a woman's voice at the end. Maybe Bill's a ventriloquist.
He goes back to the forest a few years later. It's 1990 to be exact. He takes his girlfriend, known as Deaf Tammy, camping. Sorry, that's her name in the credits. To that same spot because Tammy is a Civil War buff and she wants to see that graveyard he shouts about in his sleep all the time. So they go there, but the general zombie he raises from the dead again because Bill kept that one page from his diary, and he knew he did it. The page about
Bill kept it. Why did
Bill's one that lived in my story? That's what I read on Wikipedia. Bill.
Yeah,
lived.
but why did he keep a page? Bill wasn't a kleptomaniac.
Because it was about how he once saw a lady's ankles and a little bit of her underarm, and he's into that 1880s porn stuff. You know. Bill doesn't have the page. He wore it out reading it so many times. So the general says he will haunt him forever unless Bill helps him get revenge on Lincoln. But Bill's like, well, he's dead. His last living relative, his great-grandson, Robert Todd Lincoln Beckworth, died in 1985.
That sounds like somebody looked up for real.
So the general says, what about this Lincoln Memorial I hear people talk about when they walk past here?
This is a very long paragraph.
Maybe you could, I don't know, go pee on it maybe? And yes, the general says, go pee on the Lincoln Memorial for me, or I'll haunt you no matter where you go. Unless you go into space, which I can't haunt you up there. Or if you go to Russia, because I can't get there. But I'll haunt you unless you do this. So go get revenge on the Lincoln Memorial for me. And Bill says, okay, I'll go do it. It's the least I can do for disturbing your grave like we did. And the zombie says, yes, good. And eat asparagus beforehand.
It's such a long paragraph.
It's only been 2 minutes. So Bill and Tammy walk off.
You are losing Steve yourself.
No, I'm not. I'm battling it. So Bill and Tammy, they walk off, promising to pee on the Lincoln Memorial. But Tammy says, you won't really pee on it, will you? Because that zombie knew sign language. And then Wyatt says, of course not. He can't curse me. So Bill marries Tammy. It's Bill. Bill marries Tammy. He's always thinking about peeing on the Lincoln Memorial because it's you can't get out of your head. He's always saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So he's...
Oh, what's that term? Yeah, that's...
It's a mind worm.
Mind worm? That's not the one to go for. That works.
The white elephant in the room?
No, there's like encroaching thoughts or something.
But it's a thought that's always in his head, and it haunts him, and it destroys his marriage, and it destroys his friendships. And he realizes too late that was the curse. So in the 2000s, he realizes...
Who is this? This is happening to?
Bill.
So I said Wyatt.
So in the 2000s, he realizes he can start a podcast and talk about his curse. He can cash in on this horror.
Oh my God, is this your origin story?
He can talk about
Are you Bill?
How he has to resist the urge to pee on the Lincoln Memorial. So each week, he eats asparagus, drinks coffee, and talks about how he could sneakily pee on the Lincoln Memorial and get away with it, but he doesn't. And the audience always wonders, will he do it tonight? Will he do it tonight? And that podcast is still running, and it's called
Seddy Bimco.
You're in Trouble. But he's going to change the name soon. He doesn't like that. It's going to be called Lincoln Could Be Stinkin'.
I'm not sure why he was interested in helping the Confederates.
They were all terrible people in this movie. I think they all wanted to help them.
All right. Well,
did anybody bring up a opposing opinion? No.
No.
Nope.
No. All right. Here's my revenge story.
That was good. So you beat that, George. Beat that.
I will. All right. So my revenge story. Again, there's not a lot of people left alive after this. There's
beat that.
There's Bill. So Bill is like, oh, you're playing the music, right, Tim?
I am. That just started it.
All right, okay. So Bill, he's like, well, years ago, my friends were all killed by those Confederates. And even though I had no problem with Confederates, I think they're quite heroic because I'm a bad person.
Mm-hmm. See?
I am sad they ate my friends. So he takes his girlfriend, who is actually called Deaf, Dumb, Blind Tammy.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Now it's bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. She doesn't even know she's dating him.
Jeez.
He just kind of guides her gently by the arm places, and she doesn't know where she is or what's happening.
She's not in a wheelchair, is she?
She is, as a matter of fact, yeah. Deaf, dumb, blind, in a wheelchair, Tammy. Also, she has no arms. She has tentacles.
Geez. Does she have a wooden leg?
No, she's in a wheelchair. Oh, she does have a wooden leg. They just kind of lay it across her lap. She doesn't know. That's the only thing she feels is a slight pressure from a wooden leg laying across her. It's only she doesn't even know what's going on.
Does she wear a pirate hat? Three-pointed?
No, her head is too swollen. It doesn't fit. It's a big man. It's rough. If you ever needed proof of how there's no God, you just need to look at deaf, dumb, blind in a wheelchair Tammy who has tentacles instead of arms.
We should add she collects Nazi paraphernalia, so I don't feel bad for her.
Well, no, she doesn't even know. She doesn't. Tim, there's no outside. She doesn't even. Her skin doesn't even feel stuff.
But I want to make
gentle
her bad.
Pressure. She's not bad.
Okay.
Here's the only thing she knows. She does have a sense of taste, and what she loves to eat is Taco Bell bean burritos.
Oh no!
So as his revenge, Bill takes her, and he. This is gross, Tim, but she doesn't have control over herself. There's a little switch you could turn. He locks that switch in, and he just starts force feeding her like it's a foie gras. He feeds her full of burritos.
Oh no!
Thousands of burritos.
Like that machine from The Simpsons when Homer was in hell with the donuts.
The one that made James Coco nuts in 5 minutes. Yeah, and she is like a blood swollen tick, but it's not blood, Tim. It's reconstituted beans. And then he takes her to the spot where the Cannibal Confederates were. And he goes, suck on this, you fucking jerks. And he dumps her out of the wheelchair, and she explodes in a shower of bean digested shit all over the place.
Why do you do that?
Because he wanted revenge on those Confederates.
Are you using the movie mixtapes slogan? Suck on that, you suckers? Is that what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. Actually, suck on this, you suckers. Yeah. Okay. But, Tim. So revenge, their graveyard is befouled. The diary was out. It's soaked in digestive juices and dookie and human gore.
Okay.
And he's jumping down. He's so excited. He's like, yay, yay. But then, when you know it, he slips on a turd, falls, and his head explodes like a ripe melon on the edge of the same cross that threw Sarah off.
Wow, when she was smoking.
And he dies too. So that's revenge.
Who was getting revenge on who in this story, George?
He was getting revenge on the Confederate soldiers for eating all his friends. And he did by befouling.
Be mean to his girlfriend like that.
I think it's been well established in this movie that these guys were mean to their girlfriends.
Because she collects Nazi paraphernalia.
No, stop trying to drag her. She was a wonderful person who had no outside input whatsoever from the world. All she knew was that there was a gentle pressure across her lap from the wooden leg he cruelly laid across her lap all the time.
Sounds like she was the elephant man.
Sounds like she was a victim.
She had a pirate hat.
No, it's the really sad thing, Tim?
And a wooden leg.
Because she gets blown all over the zombies, she reconstitutes as an undead, but she's just a pile of bean goo. So she's an eternally living pile of bean goo in the middle of the woods.
Can I stop the music now?
No.
Okay.
Now stop it. Stop the music.
It needs to stop.
Wait, because at the end, Tim, at the end, it goes like this. You see the letters T, H, E, and then the E, N, D comes out from behind it. How about that? And then a question mark.
And the question mark, yes.
Yep.
Then after credit scene.
Yep. And the after credit scene is it's the Nazi guy. He's like, I'm not a bad guy. Not the Nazi. I said Nazi, said Confederate. Same difference. Bad
it's
people.
The Confederate guy.
End this. All right.
The sequel, the 65-year-old child of that cop, he's back for revenge.
Father. And did you want to ask what this was called?
What's it called? Pirate Tammy.
It was called it was called Tommy, but no, Tammy, because she was definitely
she Tammy, but Tommy.
It was like Tommy, but they crossed out the L and say no, she didn't. Tim, she was like a pinball. That's how much awareness she had. As much as All
right.
Okay, good one. That was good. I made that up, folks. I made that shit up.
See, look how much it helps you.
Improv. Yes, yeah. You didn't help. You kept being like, she's a Nazi, right? yeah, make her a Nazi. I like the Nazis. No, you didn't help at all. You were a speed bump on the road to progress, Tim.
Why'd you help me
do we
with
have
mine?
any mail?
You just sit
do we have
there
any mail?
Eating mangoes.
Do we have? Their mangoes are delicious. Do we have any mail?
I'm going to get to mail, but we have. I thought I'd write some comments from other people that comment on our podcast. They don't all write in mail.
Nobody writes in our podcast.
Here's a comment from Christopher Murray from the Cinematic Anarchy podcast. So shout out to his podcast. He says, and he's talking about which one's he talking about?
Night Ranger.
The Night Ranger episode. This is his comment. He says, "Love the episode. Definitely trying to binge listen to the episodes based in the Northeast." Laugh out loud. So, love the episodes. That's the important thing.
Where did he post this?
Good Pods. I didn't make it up. His name is Chris Murray, Cinematic Anarchy podcast. So check it out. Check out his podcast. Now,
Good Pods, Seddy Bimco. All right.
Good.
I never looked at Good Pods. Yeah.
A letter. And we are number 16 on Good Pod's comedy list.
Which means
I don't know if there's 100 people.
We have no idea. We have no idea what any of this means. I think if we're number 16, it means there's 15 people on Good Pods.
So it's got a letter from George O'Connor.
Oh wait, I know that guy.
Waste my time writing me a letter for me to read. But it says it's to Kevin Cablasto.
That's right, it was.
Dear Kevin Cablasto, thank you very much for covering me on Seddy Bimco whilst I was on the
Excuse me,
Thor
covering
tour.
for me. Covering for. Do I have to read my own fucking letter?
No.
I want you to give my words correctly.
So, I've never seen Love on a Leash, and God willing, never will. Your thorough encapsulation of the movie plot allowed me some understanding of the film's twisted story.
Yes.
Compare and contrast that with the method our co-host Tim Hamilton uses to summarize a movie, barreling along headlong with reckless use of non sequiturs and pronouns.
Non sequiturs.
The dizzying rush to cram in as many drug-addled lists, Zapruder film references, and Star Wars factoids as he can. Audience comprehension be damned. That's
Excuse
right.
me. Show me the line. Show me the lie, rather.
Show me the lie. I also appreciate you calling out. Appreciate your calling out his opening.
I'm reading. I also appreciate your calling out his opening age-old.
Hilarious.
Nope. I'm jumping in.
Tripping with
I
humor.
also appreciate your calling out his opening age-old jokes as the rancid, flaccid, wet, dripping sharts of quote-unquote humor they are. Bravo. I'm taking over the rest of this. Finally, thank you for going to bat for Jim Henson's 1986 fantasy masterpiece Labyrinth, a movie Tim displays great hatred for, despite his having never seen it, and despite it dealing with many of Tim's favorite things, including but not limited to Muppets, old-timey English musicians, dogs, and child abduction. I'm happy that when my duties as a New York Times bestselling author call me away from Seddy Bimco, that the podcast is in good hands, namely yours. Your brother in seditious Bim co-hosting, George O'Connor.
P.S. I love the age-old question.
That's not true. That's not. So that was a response. I just clearly listened to the episode Love on a Leash, which was released as the time we recorded this. And it was so nice to hear it, Kevin. And I do feel a great bit of solidarity because he is often befuddled in the same ways I am by your antics.
My antics.
So your antics.
It's called me talking.
Yeah, but you talk about weird shit, man.
We went. This is probably get cut out.
No, we went where?
Oktoberfest.
Oh yes. Oh, we're gonna talk
And
about.
I do have to say, it'll probably get cut out. If you're going to go to Oktoberfest, I think you got to be the person who has a lager of beer. You bang it on the table, you shout and sing, or don't go, because I can't hear. I just can't hear what you're saying. It's no place to have a conversation. Your cousin was there, right? I don't want to mention names. And I do know her and your significant other talked about loving and hating baseball.
It got heated between the two of them.
Is that why they're scratching each other's faces?
They were scratching each other's faces. I think
rolling around on the floor.
I did ask my cousin after the fact, and she's like, "I think we were having two separate arguments because of the aforementioned noise."
Yeah,
I don't think they
roll around the floor, ripping each other's clothes off.
Oh, Tim,
I got masturbation fever. I don't know. Anyway.
And you're like, producer Mrs. Lee, maybe she could break that up.
So, yeah, I couldn't tell what was going on most of the time. Yes, that's all. But I had fun. I had fun.
That's kind of an evergreen statement for you, though, right? I couldn't tell what was going on most of the time, but I had fun. That's what it's going to say on your tombstone. I couldn't tell what was happening most of the time, but I had fun. Yes. That's a good life to lead.
It is.
Yeah.
We took pictures. Had fun.
Yeah.
We left early.
Time. I came in second in the mug holding competition for the second year in a row. Yeah.
There was cheating.
There was cheating involved, and it was not with me, let me tell you.
Right.
It was the guy who won.
Wow.
He bent his arm. All right. Good episode. We had a good letter.
I guess so.
Yeah, we talked about a real what's the new movie for next week, Tim?
Yeah, next week. Oh, by the way, you can write us emails at seddybimco with an E at gmail.com. You can follow us on all the socials except for Facebook and Twitter. Twitter just doesn't exist anymore. But
yeah.
But next week. I get to pick.
Next week.
And it's Utah. It's filmed there. I checked.
Oh, we're going to Utah. Wow.
Park City, Utah. A little bit was filmed in Colorado, but Utah.
What's the movie?
I believe 1983. I forgot to write down that year. It's called The Boogens.
How do you spell
The Boogens? Boogens. The Boogens.
I would have spelled it The Boogens. Oh my! Is this like one of the? It's 1981.
Ooh.
Is this another one of those Gremlin type movies?
Oh, I think so. Wait, this was before Gremlins, though, so this must be a takeoff on...
Oh, shit, you're right. If it's 81.
On Critters, maybe. When was Critters?
Wasn't Critters after Gremlins?
Oh, maybe this is the first. Maybe they originated it.
The Boogens, wow.
Utah, Boogens. Come join us.
Whew. Where can we see Boogens, actually,
I made sure it was on YouTube.
It's on YouTube?
I got the link to send you.
Boogens.
Is that it?
I think so.
All right. Stay safe out there. Get vaccinated for masturbation fever.
Yeah. All right.
That's the end. Come back and watch The Boogens.
The Boogens.
Bye. So long.
Bye.
Farewell.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
What's the verdict?
You won't believe it.
Looks like Mel's really in for it this time, though.
Well, what kind of proof does he want? I mean, what does he think's going on?
You want to know what I think's going on? A joke, sugar. A weird, sick joke.